Yeah.
Warning, this podcast has stories of real-life events and true crime that happens every day. These stories may contain adult language and graphic or disturbing details not suitable for everyone. Listener discretion is advised.
132 in Bush, I've got him at gunpoint. Check the left phone for going full evacuation at this time. They're pulling them out.
911. Advise ready for campus.
Gun!
To another episode of War Stories. I'm Tom.
And I'm Chuck.
We didn't do anything different this time.
No.
Thrown it in the same old way we always do.
I swear, you know, I've wanted to do some crazy stuff, but then I'm like, that's not the platform for this one. That's
like, let's get ready to rumble.
You know, something stupid. Oh, I have my persona of my wrestler persona that I could always come out and
let me tell you something.
Yeah, I love that. I love that persona.
Right. Hey, as I wanted the audience to know in context, as we record this episode, so oftentimes we will record an interview and then later on in that evening, we'll do the live show. And that's where you get those dumb time travel comments about the past is tomorrow. But seriously, I'm looking forward to tonight's live show that happened a couple weeks ago at this point.
I feel like you said that and then the show comes out and they're like,
yeah. But it's going to be two lives. It'll have been two lives in a row because what's going to happen is the episode will drop of the guy I interviewed where we were involved in the same pursuit 120 miles apart from each other and never met and never knew each other. And then we met through this podcast. So, you know, God works in mysterious. Sometimes not so mysterious.
Is it serendipitous a good word to use? When weweird serendipitous
360 that's moment? Divine intervention, man. That's full circle.
Divine intervention. That's what I meant. Yeah, there you go.
But we're gonna have him. That episode dropped today, so we'll get to talk about it on tonight's live. And then the week after, Chuck, he's gonna, I think, come on. And so I'm gonna try to get my buddy who was in the shooting with me on the show to surprise him, but I don't know if he'll do it. So we have a guest this week, though, and Chuck, our first guest ever to appear in uniform, ladies and gentlemen. It is a red letter day on our podcast. Because this person is the only person that can get this person in trouble.
Right? I mean, it's like, hey, Chief, can I come on for going to a podcast?
Hey, can I? No. You know, I asked me if I could appear in uniform, and I said yes. So
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So we have Chief Harnden. I'm sorry. We spoke about this prior. Chief Harnden. She's a chief of police for Albany Police Department. And not the Albany in New York, but the Albany in, I want to say it's Oregon.
Oregon? Yeah.
Oregon. And then before that, she served 27 years with the Bellevue Police Department. And during that time, she worked in various areas such as project management, traffic investigation, special investigations, narcotics, human trafficking. That's a big one. Criminal intelligence, special event, security planning, emergency management, SWAT, EOD, and technology. I think she's covered every single job in that law enforcement has to offer.
Yeah, you definitely earned those stars. Welcome, Chief Marcia Harnden. How are you, Chief?
Good. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad we discussed this ahead of time because, like I said, I was raised that if you achieve the rank of chief, it's like you know, the military when you have a sergeant. Anytime you ever see him, he's always going to be Sarge, right? And so it's a chief. Anytime when you have a chief, hey Chief. I still, you know, I'll still text one of my old chiefs. Hey Chief, you earned it. So we're happy to have you on. We have had former, like retired chiefs, but I think this is the first active duty chief and the first person in uniform. So we're breaking all kinds of records.
No, not the first active chief. Just
who's the first active chief?
He's a gentleman, and he's in a gentleman out of Texas. And he has a YouTube channel. Yeah.
But you're out of not Albany, New York. You're out of Albany, Oregon. And for those of you who don't know Oregon, I guess none of this will make sense. But that's south of Salem, which is south of Portland. Yes.
Yeah, we're about an hour change south of Portland. We call it a safe distance from Portland. No, it's actually Portland is not what is portrayed on television. Any large city has its rough spots, but
sure,
it's not quite what you're seeing on the evening news, unfortunately. So,
well, I mean,
but
if,
yeah, we're about an
if
hour
SVU is to be
south.
believed, if SVU is to be believed, there's women are getting raped in New York regular like every second.
You know, it's like
Yeah.
when they show all the shit that goes on in LA and in downtown LA where like riots and shit are happening. It's centralized to a couple streets,
Right.
and then the rest is pretty much normal.
So what kind of a demographic is Albany?
So it is in emerging for long home, very popular, a lot of lumber history, but it's really evolved into the precious metal industry, and not the bling kind, but every cell phone that has a component made here in Albany or touched here in Albany. So emerging, we're next door neighbors to the city of Corvallis, which is the home of the Oregon State Beavers. In the university there, and then 45 minutes south of the University of Oregon. So we're nicknamed the Hub City because we're kind of a hub of different locations.
And you guys are comparable, I think, to the area I'm in. And people who've listened to the show long enough know where. But I'm a very populated area of North Idaho, and I think you guys are comparable in population, 50, mid 50s to 60s?
Just about 60,000. We'll probably be over that in the next census.
Yeah,
okay,
right. Because that was probably 2020 numbers is 50, probably 50, mid 50s. So yeah, that would make sense because 5 years later, and yeah.
So it used to be referred to as kind of an affordable place to live south of Salem, which is our state capital. But seeing the real estate market over the last 5 years, I will make out very nicely in the end of this. So.
Well, good.
It's like where I live. It used to be the affordable area to live in, and now you're hard pressed to find decent homes with good bedrooms with good bones for something that doesn't hurt the wallet. Now I have a question for you: who do you go for, Ducks or the Beavers?
I am a proud and loud alumni of the University of Washington. So go Dogs.
There you go.
Either.
So
yeah, dude, I'm gonna tell you, I didn't realize. First of all, and I had said this to the chief before we started, but to my son-in-law goes to Gonzaga. I'm gonna tell you, I didn't know where Gonzaga was. I'd only heard the name in reference to March Madness, right? But it's the name of a private Catholic university in Spokane, Washington.
Correct.
And so now we get into the inland Northwest politics of college. And let me tell you, Chuck, how dare you talk about somebody from Washington University as having gone to Oregon? Don't even say Eastern Washington University to somebody from, the University of Washington, right? Like that's like, yeah. There's some big, those rivalries are real. I love it. It's awesome.
I mean, I'm in college, but I never even got that because I never went to like a real college.
That's
I don't understand any of it. I go to online.
How did you, we always like to start with how our guests ended up getting into law enforcement or the military or whatever service they're into. So how did you get into this? Were you legacy? Did your family do it? Was this something your parents tried to talk about?
I am a military brat. My parents are from the Pacific Northwest, the Seattle area. My father was a Marine Corps officer and retired in 1980. And so he was getting a promotion and he said, I want to go to Washington, but not the one you're thinking of. And so we moved back up north. And if you've ever met me, I have the absolute title in Oregon of the shortest police chief in Oregon. I'm only 5'3".
Oh my God, amazing.
And so when I became interested in law enforcement, actually I didn't think I would make it. I thought I was too small, and was in college at UW and worked in retail as a part-time job, and then just had a knack for identifying behavior and got into the loss prevention realm. And the police agency where the store was located was really good about mentoring and recruiting me. They said, you should absolutely do this. You can do this job. Just don't work for us, which was very telling to me at the time. It was a leadership moment for me later in time, but gave it a shot. I had great mentors. I have a degree in history and speech communication. That was my bachelor's. And I was going to become a teacher, and then fell into law enforcement. Not all that dissimilar in some ways. We do a lot of educating of the public, just in different ways. And 33 years later, I'm here. So, and no regrets.
I was going to say that speech degree came in very helpful when you became a chief, I bet.
Yes, I have friends that go, "Hey, you talk very much like an executive sometimes," and I'm like, I don't mean to, but you have to talk to a lot of people. That's where I'm going right at 5:30 when I'm done with you gentlemen. So it is definitely part
See
of
how
what we
good
do.
she is at speech, Chuck. She called us gentlemen. So I'm curious then, and this is an honest question because I don't have a dog in the fight, but I have been part of the argument of, and by part of I mean asked my opinion on, but I'm curious your opinion on the argument that the size of an officer either does nothing to or increases the chances of having to use deadly force. You're aware of this debate, I'm sure. And so I'm curious if because my thing is it's cowardice more than height, right? But I would love to hear your thoughts as a chief.
So if I understand your question correctly, if you are smaller in stature, male or female, you're likely to use deadly force more often than maybe a bigger officer. Is that correct?
And the assertion that I've heard made, and again, I like I said, I think it's more your cowardice than anything else, but it has nothing to do with it. But the assertion was the shorter the person, the less capable they are of handling a larger person. Therefore, the quicker they have to resort to deadly force to handle a situation that a larger officer otherwise would have been able to handle. That's the assertion.
I would push back on that. I mean, I've been in the game for a long time. I think it really comes down to mindset and how you approach things, your level of training and confidence. Obviously, I got in a fairly nasty fight early in my career in 1996. It was myself and a male officer against a woman who was cracked out of her mind and about my size or smaller. And she took, got the jump on us both a little bit. And then finally we came out on top. A dislocated thumb and bites later and a very injured neck on my part. But it was most definitely a very equal fight amongst the two of us. I think it is your attitude, your mindset, your skill, and confidence. And I think there's differences statistically in male and female approaches to use of force data per se, and the degree of emotional intelligence and de-escalation. But I don't think the stature or size so much. Again, I'm small and was a lot lighter earlier in my operational days, and I don't think my third or fourth day in FTO I got in a fight and was right in there. So again, it is I think the mindset and confidence more than anything. I would kind of push back on that because I just don't think.
I agree. I would definitely agree because
go ahead.
I was gonna say I've seen people, who may be smaller, but they're pit bulls and they're nasty and they know a lot of stuff.
You're not tall, but you're built like you should be forging an axe in the bottom of a mountain.
Right? I'm not sure that short, but I'm fine. I'm short. I'm not like crazy. I'm 5'8", but with boots on, I'm more like 5'9", 5'10".
What I'm saying is that because of how thick you are, right?
I didn't get into a lot
of lanky. You're shorter and built, right?
Yeah,
but,
I mean,
I think you're a fighter.
Yeah, I mean, there were people who didn't want to, like when I patrolled in near South LA, I would say adjacent, but it's pretty damn close to South. It was basically South LA, depending on where you were. I would get the jump on dudes, or I'd come out and I'm like, why didn't you guys run? They're like, I was afraid by the time you caught me, you're going to beat my ass because you look very fit. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And so,
go ahead.
I would say it comes down to more of one skill. I don't think that not too many. I mean, unless you're a 98-pound female going up against a guy who's 6'6", 350 pounds, gacked out of his mind. I don't think that I think it's not a black and white question, one. And two, I think it comes down to skill. I think it comes down to appearance. I think if you're squared away and you look good and you have a solid body and you're not a bag of ass, I think that you're going to be getting into less fights, because I've seen guys who are very capable, who dress like shit, who don't have the confidence when they speak, and they get in more use of forces than anyone I've ever met. And I had a female partner who was a gang unit or a gang officer, and she was this tiny little Hawaiian. And let me tell you, she was one of the nastiest people that I've ever met. And I've also worked with other dudes who are pretty small, but they get the job done. And I've worked with guys who are tall, who I wouldn't want to work with ever in my life. So it's like, it's such a crazy,
I don't just
weird
mean the
debate.
job. I'm specifically referring to use of force, but I wanted to refer Chuck to a mutual friend of ours who she's not tall. She's taller than 5'3", but she's not tall. And she once beat a guy into submission with her radio because that was the only thing she had available, right? Like, she's tough, and I wouldn't mess with her. And so I think that kind of proves your point is mindset, right? Because if your mindset's right, the world is your weapon. And I've worked with a taller guy who I would just never want to back me up ever if I could avoid it. And then I worked with a gal who was shorter, and I worked with a guy who was shorter than this guy, and they were both banshees, man. They were like Wolverines. You let them loose, and they just take people down. I just because we've never had a chief on. I've heard people articulate that they would say, "Oh, could you sue because the person's more likely to shoot?" Well, there's no statistical data to back that up. So I wanted to get your opinion, especially when you told me you're 5'3", and then because we had a chief he said he had the smallest bomb squad suit in the whole county because he was 5'7". Anyway, so I was curious to get your thoughts on it as a chief. But now you get into law enforcement. You have such a long career with so many different assignments. Like I've worked a pretty fair amount of assignments. I had a good time, but you've worked probably treble what I have. And
everything.
Yeah. So what was your favorite? I mean, besides, of course, it's going to be being a chief. Being a chief is your favorite. I get it. We have to say the political thing. No, what was your real favorite?
Well, just to be really clear, most of my those units were as a supervisor. So I had some really good opportunities, but I promoted fairly early up the ranks. I was a public information officer, and the chief at the time said, anybody who leaves this office is going to move up. That's why I pick you and would like to mentor. So I did. I was very, very fortunate to supervise a lot of units. And I would say my best assignment ever was to be that first line supervisor, sergeant. I think I tell my sergeants here, I may set the tone for the culture, but if they're not bought in, I'm screwed. So they really have to buy in and believe in what we're trying to do, because it's a very powerful position. You have a lot of young minds that you're molding, and you can either teach them to be jaded and cynical and hate the public, or you can say, hey, we're going to go out and we'll take care of the bad guys, but we're also going to take care of the good guys, and have that kind of the balanced approach. So I think that is by far my favorite. And the patrol supervisor, you just don't know what's coming at you. And that it's a great role to be in. I think very powerful in any police department by far.
And I will say that I've had many friends who have given me shit, but Narco was my favorite. It was the most fun I ever had. I can't help it. But I did a lot of other things, and honestly, patrol's a blast, man. Patrol is so. Every summer with nights that are like 87-degree nights on a Saturday at 11:30, and you're wearing your short sleeve shirts and you're not getting your coat out on a Saturday night going looking for bad guys, because you put in for weekend graveyards. It was fun. I miss it.
Yeah. I think the second favorite, though, and you might identify it as, we had it was called the Special Operations Group. SOG is what we called it. We did a fentanyl warrant up in the Seattle area, and we had to wash in a fire station and count about well over $200,000 in cash. So sitting around a table, sorting bills after we washed them through the industrial washing machine, that was kind of a fun thing. You'd have that stack.
Literally laundering money. Boom, boom.
Literally, yeah, literally.
I tell you what, I would not want to be the supervisor on that, because when it comes to money beefs, that's the fastest way to kill a career. I would not want to be anywhere near that. Like you said, 200,000. Yep. I'm good, because I can't tell you how many times we've had like that we've arrested someone and it's been like a few $1,000s because they're drug dealers or whatever, and we can't tie it to them. They're in there. It is what it is. Maybe we know they're dealing, but we can't tie the money to them, and we have to count that, and we have to book it. I cannot tell you how many times they're like, I had more than that. You're like, dude, no, you didn't. That's such a, dude. Oh man, what were you thinking when you got all that money, as being a supervisor? I mean, first instinct, you're like, oh, hell yeah. But then was there any of that? Like, man, I really hope we don't lose any of this cash. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It was a lot, and there was a federal overlap to it, so of course we had to be extra careful on that. But yeah, I think the coolness wore off pretty quickly, because you're literally putting it in like a lingerie bag and putting it through the washer to make sure you don't have fentanyl on it, and then you have to go out and you have to smooth it all out and sort it all out and put it in piles. And you had to make sure it was smooth enough to go through the bill counter, which is a big help and necessary. But when you have just washed a bunch of money, that's a little harder. And so it was cool for like 5 seconds, and then it was not cool. Yeah. We were there for hours, and the team was there for even longer. We still had stuff going on. So every time they needed me to come sign off stuff, I would do that. But I would we were behind this big table at a fire station, literally going, oh, there's a 50, there's a 20, there's 100. And then you'd start and smooth it out and then go through the counter part. It's pretty cool. You don't touch that amount of cash very often, but yeah, it was interesting.
I watched the narco team to our south. We were driving down the freeway, coincidentally, Chuck, on the same freeway where the pursuit happened. Driving past one of the spots that it was, and I see a couple of our buddies, and they've got their undercover G rides that we recognize from a bunch of different surveillance operations we had done in partnership with them. They're pulled off to the side of the 101 freeway. For those of you who don't know what the 101 freeway is, it's basically the freeway that runs next to and concurrent with at places Pacific Coast Highway. It's the entire coastline of the Pacific Ocean, right? But it's this part in Santa Barbara County where you go through the mountains, and then when you come out the mountains, there's a beach on the right and the hills on the left. It's beautiful. And they're pulled over and looking in the bushes on the hillside, and we're like, uh-oh. When we pull over, because we didn't know why they were there, and we're, hey, what's going on? And they're like, oh, yeah, we did a T-stop on a vehicle we were investigating here, and we got back to the barn to book the evidence, and there's $5,000 missing. And they were panicked that somebody had left it on the trunk, driven away, fallen off into the bush. They're like, our unit will get disbanded if they think we stole 5,000. Like they were terrified, because my first day in dope, supervisor sat me down and said, there's 2 things that are going to get you into trouble: informants and money. That's it. Yeah. So, anyway.
I mean, I've seen people get disbanded for weaker things than that, like doing a dope raid, and there's a stripper pole, and then you get caught dancing on the stripper pole on the hidden cameras that are in the house.
Yeah.
Disbanded a whole unit for that. And I was like, that bullshit, but I don't know. As a chief, and I've used this statistic, it's from the FBI, and I heard about it when I was in law enforcement tactics and training. And it was how an officer on LA didn't get shit canned or whatever. It was, long story short, OAS ensued, and it was within 5 seconds. And then the FBI came out with a statistic that says your brain has 5 seconds to recognize that there's a threat and there's no longer a threat. So when you get into a shooting, a lot of times you'll see someone present a gun, and then the gun drops, and then 5 seconds later, they're still taking rounds, right? Because it takes sometimes that long for the brain to realize that that person is no longer a threat and that gun is no longer pointed at you. Have you ever heard of that statistic? And do you think that that's pretty accurate?
Yeah, I honestly have not heard of the statistic. I'm familiar with some of the force analysis where it talks about how to process, oh my gosh, this is bad and I got to respond to it. And the instinct there, I think the way you try to regulate that and make sure that it doesn't flare up during real life scenarios is to train it as close to real as possible. So doing active threat drills where you're taking sim rounds. I have a scar on my finger where I took one right on the finger.
Oh yeah, finger's the worst place. Gloves are not.
Right here. And I didn't have gloves, and it was an AR-15 sim round from about 10 feet. I'm so lucky.
Wait a minute.
So,
10 feet? Those ones, bro, those pierce fucking clothing.
Yeah, it hurt but the cool thing, and that made me feel very confident about my skills. I just and switched hands and kept shooting back at that.
That's
so
great.
that's that just instinct to continue to fight.
That's that warrior mindset.
Anyway, back to that. I think you, as much as you possibly can, you introduce that stress level to try to combat that. And so, having good sim type situations where you can you got the stress level up, you're taking some sort of pressure. We try to do active threat training here at least once a year, if not multiple times, but that stuff is expensive.
With sim?
Sims, yeah, doing sim stuff.
Wow. Hey, other agencies, listen up. Do sims once a year with your officers. This is much needed. Believe me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, when you're getting, granted, you got your hockey mask on and all that stuff, but if you're taking rounds that will at least leave some sort of mark on you, I think
penalty.
Officers get used to that stress level, and then also just the introducing a little bit of the wellness stuff, the things that NTOA teaches about tactical breathing and that. We had an ambush on two of our officers here in Albany. Fortunately, the guy was an idiot and used a .22 long rifle and shot through one of those Home Depot windows on a front door, but hit the officer in the vest, and he was able to retreat and get to cover. He was a veteran officer, lateral, that came to us, military training, and then we had a younger officer, fantastic guy, but he didn't have that experience. And I've seen the body cams multiple times. Both did exactly what they should be doing, but the breathing and control was very different. And so one of the things that we've started to do is when we're doing use of force reviews, we're going back almost to the emergency driving and seeing the level of control and the breathing and the approach. So keeping that rational head as much as possible so that you're not just going to that panic lizard brain, so to speak, and reacting that way. Right. I think that's the best way that you would combat something like that. Although I'm not familiar with the statistic per se, but being in control up here means we're in control of everything else. And I think that's really key.
Yeah. And I think the only reason why that statistic came out is because it was an FBI task force with a gang and narcotics division unit. And they got into a shooting of a really bad dude who'd murdered a bunch of people. And he shot at them, they shot back. And then because it was an FBI task force, the FBI then, because of some things that happened that I'm not going to talk about, they then ran the research on it and came out with a statistic and basically saved that cop's career, which I don't think he should have never have been, up on the chopping block regardless. But I was just curious because that statistic came out and we all got taught about it. I mean, and then I think there was a big training that went out and pushed to, the higher echelon, like lieutenants, captains, people like that. But yeah, I was just curious.
That muscle memory is key. If we're training is timed drills in the range, that's what we're going to go off of. But if we're trying to simulate real stressors and look at how we're responding, whether it's deadly force or other uses of force, I mean, the more real you can make it, I think the more beneficial and the better outcomes.
Well, Chief, we've gotten to pick your brain a little bit. So now I want to return the favor and say, as Chuck's recently retired. I've been retired a little over 10 years now. It's crazy to me to think that I've been out of the game that long, but still talking to people. I want to talk to you about, or want to give you the opportunity to talk about what are the things that you, as a chief, are concerned about right now. What are your, what are your words to? We've got a lot of cops listening to the show. We got a lot of firefighters. We got a lot of military people. As a chief, to anybody that's listening, what things are chiefs worried about? Where is law enforcement going? Where are your concerns? What is it you're fighting for, or what is it you're battling against as a chief these days that really you want people to be aware of and focus on?
Yeah, or what is it like with the new generation of cops coming up?
Yeah, for sure. Well, we don't have 5 hours to talk about this, so
yeah, right. We'll have to make that a different episode.
It is the 20 to 25 or 30-year cop is a unicorn, I think, moving forward, and that happens for a variety of reasons. I think we don't have that younger generation coming up with that calling of service and sacrifice. I mean, my dad was a military officer, so that's how I was raised, even though I'll admit that I'm a Gen Xer by age.
Too.
So it is, I think we've lost sight a little bit of the calling. So going back to this is a tough job. I mean, we're in the trauma business with your police, fire, medical. We're in the trauma business, and it's going to leave its mark. And if you want to make it to 20, 25, 30 years, you're going to have a great pension, but what price are you going to pay, and what can we do to lengthen that time? I think we're looking more at 7 to 15 years is the tenure. And
really, that short?
Wow.
Yeah, people are piecing out, and I'm seeing it here too. Even though we really invest in the wellness of our folks, and I think we have a pretty good culture, but I also can't fault them. Hey, I'm done. I want to go do something else. And we all have worked with people who are like, if you're that miserable and that much of a jerk, maybe you need to go do something else, right?
Go. Yeah, if you don't love it, you got to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, I'm still in a position where I love my job. I love the folks here, and I'm so blessed to have a great department. But there are times where people need to go, and so I think you're starting to see people empowered to do that. And then the other thing, we went on this big wellness kick. I'm gonna get on my soapbox for a second. This big wellness kick. Very well.
I'm about to tag up on it too.
Yeah, it's I could talk about it all day long. And again, one of my dedications is to a fallen officer who died by suicide. And I think we talk as a profession, we talk the pretty words of wellness and resiliency, but I don't think we're really making as many strides as we need to be. And it has to be part of the fabric. And that's one of the things I'm proud of here is that these guys and gals have really embraced it as a part of our fabric. The minute you come in the door, you're getting connected with one of our peer support people to navigate, because we have kids coming in who've never seen a dead body before. And so what are we and part of FTO, we expose them to as much as we can, as fast as we can, but we don't give them the tools on how to navigate that. How did you sleep last night? Did you go home and drink a bunch of beers? That kind of thing. Give them the tools to do that. And then also talk about financial planning, because we are not, our city HR people are not allowed to give them financial advice. So you have people that are 15 years in that need to make a change and they have not invested well. And so they're not, or they're at 20 years and they're age eligible, but they're a divorce in and they haven't made the adjustments. So a financial wellness piece. So I think we need to do more on the nuts and bolts.
Yeah. I think PORAC and FOP can be big supporters about that financial piece and putting people together with investment brokers and helping do those classes and stuff like that. But I think one of the things you touched on that I think is super important to stick with for a second is that that resiliency piece, the learning how to process things, right? We're in my day job, we're investigating a certain kind of concept about people that diminish people's work ability and people that multiply people's work ability, right? And anyway. But one of the things it talks about is giving people room and asking them genuine questions and allowing them to make mistakes and all of those kinds of things, because if they don't fear a mistake, then they are empowered to make a bold decision, make a choice. And you know, my FTO, my favorite second, well, it's a tie, boys. Anyway, Franco phase 5, basically a weekend, said, you're done. Let's go out. You're fine. I'm going to pass you. You only got to wait a week. Let's go hook and book. Right. I loved Franco. And he said 2 things: make a decision to be able to justify it. That's it. That's all I want.
Mm-hmm.
He says, if it's the wrong decision, I can talk you through it. Right. You can explain to me the decision you made. I can talk you through that decision-making process, find out where you're missing information or where you didn't consider something you didn't know or whatever, and teach you how to make your decisions with a different thought process or considering other things. That's easy. What I can't teach you to do is fucking think. And so if you're just making guesses, you're making decisions based on guesses, get that out of my car. Make a decision to be able to justify it. That's all I'm going to ask you for. And so I felt like, okay, in phase 5, I am not terrified of making a mistake. What I am terrified of now is disappointing the man who just gave me the freedom to make a mistake and learn from it. And I think that that also applies to what you're talking about, which is why I bring that story up. So many police officers know what happens when they cover their mouth and raise their hand and say they need off the ride for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately they're out on a fitness for duty. They're on the rubber gun squad. All of their friends stop calling them. They have people saying they're faking it. They have, like, all these things happen. And I think some of it is genuinely because the group that's saying all those things is terrified of facing how fucked up they are. Just my 2 cents.
Well,
but that's what you're talking about is making that part that you can't be afraid of the consequences of coming forward and putting your hand up and saying, hey guys, I need a little help because I'm feeling like I'm going to throw up.
Yeah, I'll
well, that's the beauty.
No, go ahead, Chief.
Yeah, I'll tell you a happy story. I had a guy just retired a couple weeks ago that was headed the wrong direction. And he bad divorce, some trauma in his background, both before law enforcement and during law enforcement, and got in a very intimate relationship with bottle. Didn't show up for work. We were kind of seeing this train come down the tracks, right? And I get a call. I'm at a city council meeting, and they already know that, hey, if somebody needs help, I'm going to be right there to help out if need be. And so we put him out for the shift. He was just blitzed when he called in or tried to call in sick to work, and that didn't go very well either because he was so blitzed out of his brain. And we had a conversation, and my union president was there at the time, and they said, well, we'll put him out. We'll deal with the disciplinary issues. And I said, okay, yeah, we'll deal with the mistake. We'll deal with the behavior. But he's at home with alcohol, car keys, and a gun. What could go wrong there? Let's go out there and let's have an intervention. And I look at the union president and I said, hey, am I going to have any pushback from the union? And he goes, nope, none from us at all. And they did just that. It was peer driven. Went out and talked to him, emptied everything out of the house that he had access to, made sure he couldn't drive anywhere. He was in treatment the next day. And that was the last time he had any alcohol at all. And he just retired on his terms. And so I always tell people that are coming in, you're going to make mistakes. It's what you do with that mistake that matters. And if it's 100%. An honest mistake and you are willing to grow from it, we will help you. Now, obviously, there's some you can't come back from. Lying, Brady type things, you cannot come back from those, especially in this state. Oregon will decertify you for a dishonesty. But anything else, I expect you're going to make mistakes because we're freaking human beings, right? And so you use it as a growth opportunity and get better, and we will be here to support you. And even with the people that have departed, and I don't have this as a badge of honor, is I will see them, I will go to coffee with them, and I'll get a hug and a thank you because we're going to treat them with dignity and respect. I've seen some stuff I can't unsee in this job. particularly with ICAC, and I've had a couple people in front of me.
Oh yeah.
You can't unsee that stuff.
Nope.
So let's use those things for good and give back to the people coming into the profession and give them the tools to come out better the other side.
100%.
You touched on something, and I hope you guys can hear me, and my delay is not too bad, but peer support is very near and dear to my heart, because I know it works. I know it works really well. I know when it's utilized properly, it works really well. And I think, as being a patrol cop for my whole career, you get burnt out really fast. And I think it's really telling of supervisors when they can see that, and they can be like, hey, let's move you somewhere, let's do something else, give you a break for at least a year, maybe give you some more skills where you can better your career. But I think that is going by the wayside. And when you're saying cops are having 7 to 10, maybe 12 years, and then they're piecing out because they're like, I can't do this anymore, I think a lot of it's coming from burning the candle, one, at both ends, and two, being working now in a time and age where no one wants to do the job. So you're so short staffed that you are hooking and booking for long extended hours and periods of time, and sometimes even getting called in on days off, or getting days off canceled, or vacations canceled because of the short staffing. And I think peer support comes in really well, because you can talk to those peer support members and counselors, and I was one of them, and you can tell them, hey, I'm having an issue, can you please help me just get off the street for a week? Maybe I can do something else. I need to get my head. It's all patient confidentiality.
Oh, yeah, I guess Chuck. He was hoping his connection was good. He's trying to get back in.
Yeah.
Well, Chief, so let me, while Chuck is trying to jump back in here, let me then propose to you
Cool.
that I am happy to come out and partner with you on my initiative that I have been proposing for a while for law enforcement. And you're the highest ranking person I've ever had to be able to listen to me. I would love to see a program where a state requires that you have an 11-month on, 1 month off calendar for law enforcement. And here's how it works. In that, you spend 11 months working, and in that 12th month is when you do your annual in-service training, right? All the annual stuff that you have to do, right? But the way the whole state cooperates is you go back and do your month with your graduating academy class. So if you graduated in December, then every December, you and your academy graduating class are all released from your department. It's a known thing that your department doesn't have you for all of December. They have you January through November, but all of December, you're back at the academy, or you're back, whatever it is. You all get together, you do your in-service training. You can go home on the weekends if it's a live-in academy, but you get to reconnect with all the people you went through the academy with and went through hell with to begin with. You get your in-service training, and then during that month, you also have normalized group therapy sessions that are just organized sessions of academy members broken up into small groups talking about experiences. A group, hey, let's talk about our toughest cases. And now it's not therapy because you're just swapping stories with your, academy buddies. But those story swapping sessions are facilitated by an instructor who just happens to know how to do group therapy and guide people through these traumatic events. And I'm just saying, it's the Band of Brothers easy company model of wellness, where you get 11 months on, and then the 12th month is when you do your training and get some deflation and some de-escalation.
Tom, I think that is a fabulous idea. I'm willing to try just about anything for my folks. We tried massage therapy here in the station. That didn't work out too well, but
you didn't spring for the happy ending.
In the conference room. So, but some things are working, and I think we got to keep trying. There are some agencies here that have looked at sabbaticals. And so I think the challenge we have, and speaking from the chiefs level, and I'm the president of the Oregon Chiefs Association right now, is that not every agency is where they should be on the wellness efforts.
100%.
And if I hear one more time from people within the association say, why do we have to have a wellness speaker at the conference? We did that last time. Well, you don't go to the gym one time and get in shape. So you've got to keep having a conversation if it's that important. And two is, I think Oregon is a fairly small state as far as we're actually 50th in the country for police officers to population, but outside of Portland, we have a couple, probably 3 or 4 cities are above 100,000. Everybody else is pretty small. We have agencies that are 3 or 4 people. So that you'll get some challenges in that regard. And then our sheriff's association's different, but I think they're still trying to look at some stuff too. But I think we try in almost anything we can.
Yeah.
Not to keep people in the profession so much as to have healthier people in the profession.
I also think.
Oh, sorry, Chuck, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think PTS needs to be normalized. I think you need to come in, and I think that's a real taboo subject, and it has been since, forever, since I was in the military. And post-traumatic stress is a real thing, and I think once we normalize it and we go, hey, there are going to be times in your career where you're going to have post-traumatic stress. You're going to have bad dreams. You're going to have these things. You need to work your brain out just like you work your body out to make it resilient as your body. And I think if having those conversations early on and getting them used to that type of stuff, they'll be less reluctant less reluctant to go and get help and seek help, because they'll know that their agency is understanding of that, and they won't fear that they're going to get their gun taken away from them and get put on the rotary gun squad.
Yeah, I've only had to exercise that option one time, but it was a direct threat to harm self or others. So I think, you have to make it okay. And one of the things we're trying to do is when people come in the door, and all these police departments, not just mine, are hiring a ton of people, is you have the conversation up front and you have your influencers. If it's just coming from me, they're going to go, oh my God, the chief has an idea again. If you have your peer support people, which I am trained, I am also a peer support person, so good on you, Chuck, is that you talk about it, that you're going to see and do some things that are going to keep you up at night, that you're not going to want to go talk about at home. But here's how we're going to help you as a team and as a department family come around and support you. That is so key. And so, again, from the minute they come in the door, we're having that discussion. And I empower the FTOs to unplug their student officers on those first big traumatic things. And it warms my cold, dead chief heart when I recently had an FTO who said, with a recruit, I could see they were visibly shaken. They were having difficulty communicating, so I unplugged them for the rest of the shift. And we actually put the person in contact with our clinician who's contracted, and they're doing well. So, because learning stops under the guise of trauma, your brain will no longer start processing and learning and retaining information. So why are we continuing to judge and grade that person when it's a normal part of what the human body goes through? And just give them the tools to kind of recover, because you pay for it a little bit with some time disconnected from the training program, or you pay for it down the road when they make bad decisions or they peace out early or whatever the case may be. People like me, people with these, have to do more. And they have to, it's part of my responsibility to take care of my people that way.
So then if you're willing to try anything, I have a bold suggestion, and I'm happy to send you some research links to back it up, because when somebody said it to me recently, I went, that sounds amazing, but it also sounds like bullshit. Turns out, might I suggest that when you have an officer exhibiting some of those symptoms, and the FTO is able to see it, you whip out a Game Boy and make that officer play Tetris. Are you familiar with this research?
I have heard of it, yes.
Yeah. And so I find it fascinating that they've done a study with healthcare workers who who endured trauma as a result of being a healthcare worker. I think that was like 160 people in that one. There was another study that was done with car accident victims. Okay. Chuck, are you aware of this? The Tetris theory?
No, I've never heard of it.
Really? Okay.
Mhm.
So this gal's a couple of people in the field. She's studying different preventative behavioral interventions, so that post incident, right, when you know a traumatic incident has occurred, what sort of things could we immediately have somebody do that would reduce the likelihood or the severity of PTSD? And she landed on Tetris. And for those of you who have not heard this, take it back to your agencies, do whatever you want. There are numerous studies on it, but essentially their hypothesis was that after a trauma, patients would have fewer intrusive memories if they were able to play Tetris as part of a short behavioral intervention. And so they legitimately, literally had a study where motor vehicle accident victims waiting in the emergency room, half of them received a game and were told to play Tetris while they were waiting. And the other half were asked to perform a different task. And both of those two groups were all doing those tasks within 6 hours of the accident. And as a result, the people who played Tetris had fewer intrusive memories of their trauma in overall in the week immediately following the accident than anyone else. So you can read the full study.
Yeah,
there's a point about how the mind is tasked with moving objects in space and figuring out the puzzle, and the way it activates the hippocampus and requires a certain amount of focus from the brain that engages so many different systems that it impedes the brain's ability to imprint some of those traumatic memories and reaction. It's fascinating. But I was just, when somebody said, yeah, get a Game Boy and play Tetris to avoid PTSD, and I went, yeah, he's like, no, you're looking it up. And I'm like, holy shit, there it is. So
really interesting.
Innovate in Oregon and have the Game Boy methodology. Just have all of your officers have to download Tetris on their smartphone. Just make it a requirement, and then you force them to be like, all right, you're being ordered to play Tetris for 10 minutes. Whatever it is.
I do have a question for the chief before she has to peace out.
Yeah, we have to get to her dedication. So
it's along the lines of this, and then we'll get into your dedication. And we can get into it right afterwards. But you've heard Tom just talk about how to help people, not have lasting effects of a traumatic experience to lessen the effects of PTSD. Well, what do you think will help officers, young officers or officers who have been in it for a minute, or maybe officers who have been around, veteran officers, to help with the longevity of their career? Like you said earlier, 7 to 10 years, a lot of new coppers are deciding to peace out. At that point, what do you think going forward will help officers in the longevity of their career and staying healthy physically and mentally?
I think it has to be a mutual investment, both by their employer, the department, and by them. I think if you set the culture that, hey, these things are going to happen, and these are the systems in place that we expect you to engage in, and then we back that up with the funding and support on the admin side and on the peer support side, I think that's really going to help. And I think the key thing is recognize that we're going to be exposed to hundreds, if not thousands, of incidents, depending on where you work, that will leave its mark on your psyche, so to speak. And so first we got to recognize that that's the case. There's no way you can't come through this job and not be changed, unless you're a sociopath, and that's a whole different issue. But but I think recognizing and just accepting it's what it is. I mean, we went so far as to make it a core value here. And I'm a firm believer that the icing on the cake, so to speak, is healthy internal culture means healthy interactions out on the community. So whatever it takes, keep trying stuff is really key. Mm-hmm. And I had a very, very young guy who we hired not too long ago. His dad's a police officer in the neighboring city. He's so eager. And I think he'll be a long-term guy. But he wasn't 21 yet, and we had to wait till he was turning 21 to hire me. He's like, "Is there any way I can start sooner? Can I keep going on ride-alongs?" And I just go back to the movie Colors, and just slow down. You're gonna have plenty of time.
Walk
and
down.
Make sure, walk down, right? My chief did that one time to a new recruit, and it scarred me for life. But I don't share that story, but it just reminds me of like, hey, you got plenty of time.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of trainings in that. One is wellness. It's called a Thrive class. We do it for support staff, and it's called Thrive for Blue. We talk about the only people that will remember that you worked all those overtime shifts are your kids and your spouses. And so focusing on balance. I love my job. I've done it for, it'll be 33 years in May. But I have healthy relationships outside the job. And I really, at 7 o'clock at night, I'm done looking at email, so on and so forth. So whatever it takes to kind of carve back some time, and then also recognize that this job will change our wiring a little bit. And so our look on things, and I always go back to Emotional Survival for Law Enforcement by Dr. Gil Martin.
We talk about that book on the show a lot.
Yeah, I love him. Oh, he lives here in Oregon part-time. So, but one of the things he'll say is that he'll open his seminars and he'll go, priest, Boy Scout leader, Santa Claus. And he goes, what comes to mind? I'll go, pedophile, right? And and he says, you're not normal. We have been programmed to be cynical, and we go to the negative. With internal culture, especially when somebody's making a mistake or they're struggling, assume good, not bad.
Right.
And so
assume positive intent.
When somebody's struggling, hey, that was a mistake, but man, what's up with you? Because that's not like you. What can we do to help you? Because what you're seeing is a symptom, not the cause. And so we got to get to the cause of it. And so I think that is a really key thing. And then as younger cops, going back to your original question, give yourself grace and give each other grace. We are so quick to eat our own. It drives me crazy. When something bad happens, we're like, I wouldn't do that. But the key thing is that we give ourselves grace and give others grace. When bad things happen, when we had Paul Lancaster, the deputy in Benton County, kill himself, every single person that was working that day and every single person in our department had a different journey on how they process that. And we have to give each other grace because it's not the same journey. I had people who could not function that were not on the call. And we have a critical incident leave policy that allows us to unplug employees for that reason. Yep. And just give them the grace to process it on their own in a healthy way. Right. I think is really key. So it's a commitment to themselves.
Yeah. If we let other people be human, it gives us permission to be human.
Exactly.
And I will tell you, I will add to your, because I love the assume positive intent. I say that all the time in my current career because it was pushed into that, and never attribute to malice what you can attribute to stupidity. But there is also, have you heard of MRI? This was a new one for me. Listen with the most respectful interpretation. If there is an interpretation of what the person is saying that is negative, and one that is positive, and one that is most respectful, if you were assuming positive intent, then you need to listen with the most respectful interpretation. And when you listen to what that person says, think that they are saying it with the most respectful interpretation possible, then react to that. So
absolutely.
Anyway, so in speaking of this is a very good time to get into your dedications. I know you have two, and I know you have hard outs, so we want to make sure you give you time to get them. But I know one of them is near and dear to the subject we were just discussing. So please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, the first, again, I'm blessed to have a city that lies in two counties. First is Lynn County, and they just lost Andy Borland to a long battle of cancer. That's why my badge is covered here. Fantastic human being, and he'll be sorely missed at the Lynn County Sheriff's Office. And the other is Paul Lancaster, who died by suicide in 2021, married to the daughter of one of my lieutenants. That lieutenant didn't call 911. He called me at 5 o'clock in the morning, hysterical. And I will never forget that phone call and the impact that had. We can't undo that tragic event, but we can use it for good. And we have done that. So Paul Lancaster is the second dedication I have.
Well, rest easy, brothers. We've got it from here. And if here's the thing, if you are struggling at all, right? Don't love a job that doesn't love you back. I get it. I love the job. I miss the job. I told people I would chase bad guys, get in fights, drive code 3, and point guns at people and get shot at for free. They paid me to do paperwork, right? The job I loved. The paperwork and the bullshit that I had to deal with at the station, the politics. That's why I got a paycheck. The rest, if you just tell me, hey, we're gonna go chase bad guys, I'm like, I'm in. You don't have to pay me. Let's go. But remember, you can love the job, but always never forget that the job doesn't love you back. It is a job, and at the end of the day, have a condo in Redondo. Have that goal for your retirement, for a life after law enforcement, because you better have a life after law enforcement. Do not sacrifice your good years to not enjoy your golden. And second, those friends that you had before you were a cop, keep those friends, because they're the only ones that can call you on your bullshit and say, motherfucker, I remember you when. So don't act all high and mighty. And when you retire, they will be the friends you still have. I promise you. So, Chief, thank you for being on the show. I appreciate you. I would love to come back and I have so many other, I want to talk about stress academies. I want to talk about yours. There's so many other things, but we would be honored to have you back. We appreciate your time. I know you have so we're going to let you go as Chuck does our outro. So Chief, thank you very much. We appreciate you being here, but we won't keep you any longer.
Take care, guys. Yeah, I look forward to talking more.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Well, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's listening. And also, if you're struggling or not struggling, but like Tom already said, if you're struggling and do all those things, if you know someone who's struggling, don't be afraid to reach out, because if they do something stupid and they're one of your friends and you never reached out to them, I don't know how you're going to sleep at night if you knew that you could have maybe tried. So try. If you know someone's struggling, just reach out and just be like, hey, man, you good? Or, hey, what's up, girl? I mean, don't say it like that, but you know what I mean? Like, hey, lady, what's up? What's up? Hey, everything okay? Everything good? Because if she's your girl and they're your boy, you just talk to them however you talk to them and just ask them if they're okay, if they're doing well. And there are far too many things that could be prevented by just being like, hey, are you okay? And I've seen it. I've seen it work. So
2 words,
but
2 words. That's all it takes. 2 fucking words, you guys. You okay? You good?
Yeah.
You okay?
It can save a life, and believe me, it has. I've known people who are close to me that it saved their life. So it works.
It's this, right? Hey, Chuck. Hold on, Chuck. You good?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, well, and if they open up with a fucking can of worms, listen. Shut the fuck up. Don't just fucking exactly. Don't shove them off, because they might be struggling and they just want to be heard. Listen to them. Maybe let them know, hey, you're okay.
And maybe it takes more than one time. Maybe you go, you good? And you go, yeah, I'm good. You go, well, hey, here's the thing. You don't seem good. That's why I asked. But if you want to talk, I'm here. If you don't want to,
hey,
I get it. But
give them plans. Hey, you want to go out to dinner? You want to go watch a movie? You want to go golfing? You want to go dirt bike riding? You want to go surfing? You want to go snowboarding? You want to go do whatever the fuck? Keep drinking out of it. But there are things that you can do to keep their mind and give them a goal to live for the next day or the week down the road that will keep them from eating their fucking gun or hanging themselves or taking a bunch of fucking pills and chasing it with fucking Jack Daniels or any type of whiskey of their choosing. Because let's face it, coppers and military guys and gals love their whiskey.
Well, shit, that's fucking uplifting. Chuck, how do they get a hold of us?
Well, thank you all for today for thank you all today for tuning in. Right? If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to follow us on Instagram at war_stories_official and our Facebook at War Stories Podcast. If you're already following us, please share our posts, spread the word. You can also check us out, link on our bio on both platforms to find all of our social media, our media links, and our website. Our podcast is available.
And our website should be changing.
Yeah, it will be changing. And we're available on all major streaming platforms, including YouTube. When you go to YouTube, hit the notification bell, subscribe. That way, anytime we post new content on there, you will be notified.
And when one of these shows drops, we're going live that night.
Right. And if you'd like to support us, head over to our website, at warstoriesofficial.com. Grab some merch while we still have it, because we will be changing all of that. And you can also support us by following us on TikTok and following us on every other platform that we have, and staying up to date with us. Do you have a story to tell, or you know
And
someone who does?
share. Send these episodes to motherfuckers. Send our little Facebook posts and our stories, and send them to your friends. When we say something stupid, when we say something cool, which we probably say more stupid than cool, but who gives a fuck? Send it anyway.
Yeah. And if you want to be featured on the show, or you know someone who wants to be featured on the show, or you think they might have a good story, send them our way. We're always looking for law enforcement, veterans, corrections officers, dispatchers, firefighters, medics, ER docs, and ER nurses to feature on the show. You can get in hold of us. The best way would probably be go to linkedin.com/War Stories Podcast and hook up with us there. We do have a booking email. It does get checked. However, it is faster to go to LinkedIn, but if you do not have a LinkedIn and you don't want to create one, you can always DM us and be like, hey, I'd love to come on the show. And then we can give you an email, and then you can email us why. You can also go to the booking email at booking.com. No, it's I haven't given this out in a while. We don't really use it that much, but if you want to go to the booking, it's booking.warstories@gmail.com, booking.warstories@gmail.com. I will be checking it. I do check it, and I check it kind of frequently. And the person who I've been talking to on there, we're going to get you booked. Don't worry. Just have some patience. We have a lot of people in line already, and we book a month out. So we got you. So
we're talking to all of those you that applies to. Till our next episode, come on with your shield, or on it.